Most companies we work with already know what their objective is. Might be something like we want to increase sales. But what they really don't understand is how they're going to get to that objective. So they're going to have to start to do things a little bit differently. And what we do is we run workshops to help them try to go through that process to actually drill down to what things need to change. And then we work with them to understand where to put that change in and help them to make those changes. First thing that we need to do when we go into a company is to understand what that objective is and make sure and test whether that's the right objective for the company. So that objective might be we need to increase sales, but something like that is such a wide, varied objective that we've got to actually start to drill down and work out what is the areas that need to be done differently, what needs to change to make that happen. And to do this, we pulled together all the key stakeholders. Now, we used to do this in a room, now we have to do this virtually. But we bring together those key stakeholders, and they might be the C-suite, but also if we're talking about sales and marketing, we might bring in some of the salespeople, some of the marketing people, because they have a far better understanding of what's going on. Now, if we've agreed on what this objective is with them, and if they're not sure and they might have a few objectives, we can run workshops to achieve those. But if we agree what the objective is to work on, then we'll sit down with people and say, right, what do you think needs to change to get to that objective? And what we'll do is ask people to write down 10 ideas, 10 thoughts. So most people will come up with the same ideas first of all, but it's not until you start to get to number 7 or number 8, number 9 and number 10, when actually you really start to get the good ideas coming out from there. And what will happen is quite often that initially the sales guys and the marketing people will write down what they think that the people want to hear. And it's not until you get up to question number 7 or 8 or 9 and trying to come up with those ideas where they're really actually bringing out what they want to say. And this is one of the reasons why working with a third party is so important, because what will happen normally is people will just say what other people want to hear rather than actually what they really need to be saying. And as a third party, we can help to moderate that and make sure that everybody's voice is just as important in there. So once we've got those 10 ideas for those people, we'll group those together. A lot of those will be common themes and common ideas. We'll group them together and we put those out normally on a whiteboard, or now because we can't be in the same room with people, we use an online whiteboard. And we group all together, imagine writing a post-it note and sticking it up on the wall. And then we can start looking at those, and then we can vote across the people there where the right focus of our objectives should be. And again, working with a third party like us, we can sit there and when they're all going, oh, actually, we're not getting enough sales, we need to get the salespeople to sell more, we might be sitting there and going, well, actually, is that right? Is that what the problem is? Or is the problem the leads that you have coming into the business are not at the right stage? They might be at the awareness stage rather than decision-making stage. So is that the problem? And then we can actually start to facilitate that discussion and get people to focus on actually where that problem is and what are those things that need to be changed are. We can normally find then a clear priority of what needs to be done differently within an organisation to make that change so they can get to that business outcome that they want to do. But sometimes that change is procedural. Sometimes that change might be a physical change within the organisation, and quite often that change is a cultural change. And when it comes to a cultural change, that is something that's really hard to affect internally by themselves. So that's when working with a third party enables us to actually start to challenge these things, these preconceived ideas, but have people within an organisation say, we do it this way. And then what you actually find out is nobody in the organisation is doing it that way. The management just think that's what's happening, and that's why they're not getting the results they want to get. Quite often, though, what we'll end up with is a whole string of actions that need to be taken. Now, if we go back to that example of the sales and marketing, it's not the salespeople there in that instance which are the fault. Now, the salespeople might be picking up the phone and making cold calls, so they have absolutely no control of what stage those leads are going to be at and where those companies are speaking to are coming in. So that company will need to have to create a lead generation process which does give some control over what stage those customers are at, and also a nurture sequence for those customers that aren't at that stage, so those leads aren't lost out the back. And so suddenly we've gone from this situation of the change we want is more sales, and actually the change that they need to do is actually in the sales process and the marketing process. And what we will do is then build those processes in and put together the fundamental blocks that make those work on those. And sometimes those are outsourced to us, sometimes those are done in-house, sometimes those are done with third parties. But we need to actually drill down and make people understand the things that they need to do differently within the organisation to make that work. Now, we're all focusing at the moment on change. There's a lot of change that we've all got to do. Even the most successful companies now are having to look at new ways to achieve things, especially in the sales and marketing space. If you're in that situation at the moment, then contact us, give us a call or drop us an email, and then we can talk you through how to run this process internally or how we can run it for you. We look forward to speaking to you.